A night when Wilhelm visits Vernaha Glencha, he asks for two things. He asks what he will do to 10,000 soldiers that he collected, since it will take the emperor's eyes as threat to him. Wilhelm asks Vernaha 500 soldiers for 6 months. Vernaha is surprised by Wilhelm's arrogance and his ability to be ferocious. Wilhelm promises Luden will become a great estate in 6 months, and his master will become a great lord. Vernaha questions whether Wilhelm plans to take Glencha's private soldiers and fight the territory. Vernaha asks why would he trust him, but Wilhelm told him that if after 6 months there is no good result, he is willing to be Glencha's dog. When his lord become a grand lord and acquired the wealthiest estate in the east, the Orient, Glencha will get a great ally. Wilhelm pointed at Arjun, asking Vernaha to command Arjun to leave. After a while of talking with each other, Vernaha roared from the other side, urging Arjun to pack his bags and return to Glencha. Vernaha Glencha didn't answer Arjun. Around 1,000 enlisted men gathered in front of Luden Castle, causing confusion and bewilderment. Mrs. Sarah fainted, and Reinhardt, the Lord of Luden, expressed anger and asked Wilhelm what was happening. Wilhelm answered that he will give her land. Wilhelm called Reinhardt by her name, while she feels strange unfamiliarity towards him. Reinhardt asked him to tell her. He believes she would have been happy if Dietrich would be the one who brought the soldiers. He also expressed that he knows that she didn't trust him. Reinhardt, however, denies this. Reinhardt feels guilt while Wilhelm reveals that they took Dietrich from them, and he didn't do it for personal revenge. Wilhelm reveals that he is willing to be her instrument for revenge. He smiles brightly and promises to be the thunder and lightning of Reinhardt's storm. He believes that he will pave the way for Reinhardt, as she has always wanted revenge through him. Reinhardt, unaware of the man's intentions, was unwilling to accept the wall he gave her. She couldn't help but wonder if the man was truly a child she cherished and loved. The man asked her what she wanted, but Reinhardt didn't answer, feeling it was a duty and debt she had to pay. When the Lord of Luden announced a war with her knight being a commoner, she was met with ridicule, Nathantine's submission, and the loss of Delmeril. The nobles said that they made a wrong decision. As long as the emperor could tax the territories, he didn't participate in the territorial battles. Instead, his principle was to declare war in the territory in advance. Thus, Luden obtained 6 estates before winter passed. The soldiers march eastward, reaching Marquis Glencha's fortress. Influential lords like Orient of the East, Delmeril, and Palla fell in disbelief. The Knight of Luden, later known as Luden's Thunder, Reinhardt then took control of the most tax-generating estates. The imperial family was in trouble by that time. The emperor now had a headache. He swore he never thought that crazy woman who was once his daughter-in-law and crippled his son was now this resourceful. The emperor gathered his vassals to discuss preparations, but no one came up with a proper opinion, until the crown prince asked for a rescinding of the order to disband all enlisted men on Marquis Glencha's and for Marquis Glencha to check on Luden. The emperor criticized Mikhail Alenquez for his lack of understanding, as it will look like Marquis Glencha and the deposed queen have colluded. The emperor feels disappointed in Michael, despite no high expectations. Emperor questions him Luden's willingness to return enlisted soldiers if private soldiers are dissolved, fearing they would increase more soldiers. The emperor was on the verge of going mad. He couldn't believe his only son was so stupid. Mikhail, a cowardly figure who only saw what was in front of him, the emperor was furious to see him. He knew the crown prince had depression after an injury, but couldn't empathize with him. Count Mully claims that the Lord of Luden won numerous battles due to an excellent knight who studied under the second son of the Ernst family. However, he clarifies that the knight was only taken in briefly and was not an official knight yet. He suggested to punish the knight while he reward Reinhardt a reinstatement and her father's corpse. Count Murray sent a letter to the Lord of Luden, promoting Reinhardt as Great Lord and restoring Hulink's body, suggesting the reinstatement of the Link family's rights. The emperor demanded a royal audience and knight appointment. Crystal gates, symbolizing the Alenquez Empire, are installed at each archipelago, allowing travelers to navigate through the magical resonance within. Reinhardt holds a crystal tightly, while Count Murray is picky towards knights and servants. He tells them not to carry weapons when passing through the crystal gates. Reinhardt stated she would prefer to ride her instead of passing through the crystal gate, causing Count Murray's face to grin. Count Murray argued about Sir Wilhelm's long sword, but Wilhelm raised eyebrows. Count Murray also pointed at Hulink's sword. Reinhardt reveals that Wilhelm's sword was left behind by his deceased father. Reinhardt warns that knowing the meaning of today's trip to the archipelago would prevent him from taking it away. Reinhardt asked Mrs. Sarah to manage the territory while she was away, but Mrs. Sarah's response was complicated due to the recent distress. Reinhardt apologizes for keeping Mrs. Sarah from sleeping, and she understands the sudden change and promises to return soon. Sarah recounts a 5-year encounter with the Lord, stating she never hated her. The Lord that appear in front of her is wrathful. Sarah offers Reinhardt a few years in the capital to dissipate her anger. Reinhardt is moved by her words, as she had always felt she was a nuisance to the Luden estate, and thank Mrs. Sarah. Reinhardt and Wilhelm a black dress and a black cloak. She told him that the capital is dangerous as if she will be in a lion's den. She also has something to say to him. Reinhardt intertwines her hand with Wilhelm's, revealing she was embarrassed and scared when asked to use him as a tool for revenge. She also explained that he may be able to bypass the crystal gate without the crystal. She reveals her trust to Wilhelm. He promised her to return to her no matter what. Wilhelm laughs and whispers that he already knew that he can pass Crystal Gate without any crystal. He knows about it but cannot tell her yet. Reinhardt was perplexed. She wondered if this kid knew that he was the Emperor's illegitimate child, but since when? Reinhardt realizes that Wilhelm used the card about his bloodline against Marquis Glencha to avoid confrontation with the Emperor, and even if she became Luden's great lord, the Emperor wouldn't be anxious if he discovered another bloodline. Wilhelm, about to leave Reinhardt, whispered about the prize he wanted to receive. Rain realized it was what they talked when he left Luden as rental knight. She is unsure if she has anything to give to Wilhelm, who has given her territories. She feels pressure to give something to him, but the boy, who is unexpected, answers her that it was her that he wanted. Reinhardt hears a passionate voice saying she loves him, triggering emotions like anxiety, fear, and warmth. This love, thrown at her in the name of love, loosens her neck strain. She was speechless and asked again as if she misheard it, but Wilhelm repeat that he loves her.